Welcome to Gig Masters, ladies and gentlemen, your channel for getting and keeping more gigs. On today's episode, we're going to talk about things that you may be tempted to ask the venue to borrow. That's a big no-no. Do not be a burden on the venue. If you like this tip, hit the subscribe button. If you want to comment or you think I'm leaving something out, please put it in the comments. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Let's grow this channel and let's get these gigs. Now, without further ado, let's start with item number one. Item number one, do not be tempted to ask the venue to borrow anything remotely close to a gig rug. You may see their welcome mat. You may see they have these anti-slip mats around the venue. Don't be tempted to ask them. Bring your gig rug. Refer back to the episode, the previous episode of gig rug. It's important. Why? Okay, well, what if they ask you to play on an uneven surface like gravel, or what if they ask you to play in a grassy area? You don't want your equipment to get dirty. Bring a gig rug and do not ask the venue to borrow one. Bring your own. Another item that you might consider not asking the venue to borrow is a gig towel. Bring your own towel or towels. Don't ask them to borrow a towel because you've spilled something. Bring your own towel. You can clean it up. Do not burden the venue. Don't ask them to clean it up. You're there as part of the team. If you spill it, you clean it. Bring a towel. You may get sweaty on the gig. You can use the towel to blot your face or whatever, your hands. Bring your own towel. That's all I'm saying. Don't ask the venue. Don't be a burden. Another item that you may consider bringing all the time, and please don't be tempted to ask the venue to borrow an extension cord. Bring your own extension cords. Bring several of them. You're going to need them. You might need more than you think. Keep several extension cords on hand of different lengths. This one's 100 foot. That's unusual. I always bring at least two 25-footers. Don't ask the venue for anything. You may find sometimes that the venue is dimly lit or dark. Do not ask to borrow a flashlight. And for God's sakes, don't ask for them to turn the lights on. If they've got patrons in there and they've created an atmosphere with the lighting to accommodate the patrons, don't ask them to turn the lights on. Don't be stupid. Bring your own flashlight so you can look around and find your picks that you've dropped, any miscellaneous items and equipment that you may have left behind. Bring your own flashlight. Another item that you may be tempted to ask the venue to borrow is a battery or batteries. Do not ask the venue. It shows a lack of discipline. It shows a lack of professionalism. It shows a lack of preparedness. You're using old cheap styled wireless for your guitar and your microphone that's not rechargeable like the new ones, and you go through batteries. Don't ask the venue. Here's another one. This is a big one. This is the one that drives me bananas. Okay, you're thirsty. You go on break and you ask the bartender or a waitress for a glass of ice water. You know you're not going to tip them. I'm going to go off on a tangent. Okay, not only am I a live music performer, but I'm also the entertainment director at several venues. And when the entertainment comes up to the bartender and says, "Hey, can I get a glass of ice water?" You know how much the bartender hates that, especially when he's really busy serving people who are paying $16 for a cocktail. and making all kinds of tips. And then the band members come up and want a glass of water. Guys, what are you doing? I'm going to go into a video in the future. I've already touched on this a little bit about the bar glasses and restaurant glasses in a previous video about how to stay healthy. Go watch that video. Also, don't ask for free water. You're getting paid. You think the waiters are getting free water? No, well, maybe they are, but you shouldn't be a burden on the venue. And for God's sakes, don't be a burden on the bartender and the waitresses while they're trying to take care of customers. You're not a customer. You're a worker. You're there playing. You're an entertainer. Bring your own water bottle. We'll go into a future episode about what you should do with your bottle of water. But don't ask for a drink unless you plan on paying for it and tipping. Bring your own bottle of water. Here's one. This is one that I get all the time. Hey, can we borrow something to make a tip jar out of? Like maybe a beer pitcher or a champagne bucket, and we'll scrawl tips across of it like we're idiots. I get that all the time. Guys, bring a tip jar. Go visit the episode entitled Tip Jar. If you forget your tip jar, don't ask for a bucket or a pitcher or something. Open up a guitar case or make do with what you have. Or you're not going to get tipped that night. That's on you. But do not ask the venue to borrow something to make a tip jar out of. Bring your own tip jar. Here's another one. This is another one that I love. I forgot my gig stool. I'm going to borrow a chair. Instead of bringing in my own gig stool, I want to borrow one of your chairs so that you can't make money from someone who might potentially sit in that chair and buy something. Guys, it's all about dollars. You take a chair from the venue, you've decreased the potential of that venue to make money, because that means a paying customer can't sit in that chair. If they have extra chairs, don't be tempted to ask for one. It shows unprofessional. You're not professional. You're not prepared. It shows that you're amateur. Don't show up on a gig if you're a sitter without a stool or a chair. Okay, speaking of stools, bar stool, gigs. The venue's stool. This is what this one's beat up, and that's why I'm using it, because it's beat up. So I'm using it as an example. Okay, this is a typical wooden bar stool. Don't be tempted to ask to borrow one so that you can sit your equipment on it, or your tip jar, or the worst, your amplifier. I've seen this a lot where guys will get to the gig and, I just bring my amp, and either I'll set it flat on the floor like a dumbass, or I will just ask the venue to let me borrow a stool, and I'll prop it up on the gig stool. Don't do that. Your amp does not belong on a gig stool. Your amp, unless it's your gig stool, your amp belongs on an amp stand. Go back, revisit the episode entitled Amp Stand. Now again, these are some items that you may consider bringing all the time. You may not use them on every gig, but you should have them in the gig rig. Have them in your whatever vehicle it is you come to the gig. Be prepared. You never know. So all I can tell you is that as a venue manager, is with respect to the entertainment booking, when bands or acts ask me for it's for things to borrow, it pisses me off. I just kind of want to scratch them off the calendar and send them on their way. And on some gigs, since I'm also a music performer, and they show up unprepared, I just fire them right there on the spot and do the gig myself. More money for me. Show up prepared. Do not ask the venue for anything. Hope this tip has been helpful. If you have found it helpful, click up the likes, leave a comment below, subscribe. Please help me grow this channel. I know it's not glamorous. I'm not a guitar guy showing you how to be a rock star. I'm not showing you all the music stuff, which is, 50,000 other people on YouTube are doing. I'm showing you the business of getting and keeping more gigs. It's the business side. It's the unpleasant side of the business. This industry is it can be cutthroat depending on the market that you're in, and if you'll apply these fundamental basics regularly and get in the habit of doing the things that I am talking to you about on all of these episodes, you'll find you'll keep an advantage over your competitors. In my market, it is cutthroat. So pay attention, come back often, revisit all of the episodes over and over, and check for more videos in the future. Again, my name is Mooney Man. This is Gig Masters, how to get and keep more gigs.